Rangers News YouTube channel. My name's James Black and I'm joined again by Cameron Willis, and we're going to be having a wee look at Thursday night's Europa League clash with Willem II. The Rangers go into this game on the back of the 2-2 draw with Hibs at the weekend, whilst the Dutch side, they had a fantastic result at the weekend, winning 4-0. And both sides coming out on the back of 5-0 wins in the previous round of the Europa League. Rangers bet Lincoln Red Imps 5-0 over in Gibraltar, whereas Willem faced Rangers' old Europa League conquerors in Progress Niederkorn and also racked up a 5-0 scoreline. So we're going to have a wee chat about what to look ahead to on Thursday night. And Cammy, you've been having a bit of an in-depth look at Willem over the last few days, so just kind of let us know kind of what you found out about them.
I've just been kind of looking at the weekend blanket thing. It's obviously not a club that I think a lot of fans will know about, other than the fact that they're from Holland. But they come from the Dutch town of Tilburg, and Rangers will be playing them at the 14,700 capacity Koning Willem II Stadion in the town, but obviously it's taking place behind closed doors. They were founded in 1896. The nickname is the Tricolores, but it's after the Dutch flag, which is also the club's colours. They've won 5 major honours in their history, including 3 Eredivisie or top-tier championships. I think the last was 1955. They're kind of historically considered a wee bit of a lesser Dutch team, and this is only the fifth time in their history that they've played in European competition. They've undergone a wee bit of a resurgence in recent seasons. They obviously placed 5th in Eredivisie last season, which got them a place in Europa League qualifiers, but that was before it was called due to coronavirus. But they had some very impressive results last season, and they actually beat Ajax, AZ Alkmaar and PSV, which should probably serve as a warning to Rangers about the kind of ability they've got in the team. One of the big reasons why they managed to get to this level is they're focused on signing young, talented players from around Europe, many from like German cult teams, and then they've given them a chance in a first team kind of setting in what is kind of philosophy-wise a really attacking team. Jonas Matthijssen, I think that's how you pronounce the guy's name. Some Rangers fans might recognise him from being a former Hamburg centre-back, but he also played in the Dutch World Cup final against Spain in 2010. He's considered one of the main kind of catalysts behind what they've managed to achieve. He's their sporting director, and he's helped them attract these kind of young players. They're all about like 20, 23 in that kind of age bracket. With the help of kind of money, I read an interesting story, was they had a selling clause for Frankie de Jong, who obviously moved to Barcelona for 75 million last season from Ajax. They had a 15% selling clause for that. They invested it in the team. I think one player that maybe Rangers fans have heard quite a bit about in the run-up to this is Vangelis Pavlidis, who's a Greek 21-year-old. He's got 4 goals in 2 games. He scored 11 goals in the Dutch top tier, 13 goals in total for him last season. He looks like a really interesting player. He's the kind of focal point of their 4-3-3. They play similar to Rangers in that they get the full-backs high. They've got a really kind of attack-minded game. Their coach, Eddie Costa, looks for them to play kind of high-intensity pressing game, which to me would suggest that it could be a very open contest on Thursday. It could be kind of end-to-end and an exciting game to watch. I think Pavlidis isn't the only one who could hurt Rangers. They've got another kind of, I think he's ex-Bochum midfielder called Gorkum Saglam, who actually scored against Progress. He scored again at the weekend. He's another highly rated kind of young player. We've got a wee Dutch youth international winger called Che Nunali. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He scored against Progress, another kind of highly rated young talent. And then they've got a guy called Mike Treza Ndaya Shamiye, I think is how you pronounce his name. But they call him Mike Treza in the Belgian and Dutch press for a reason, I think. But he's on loan from NEC Breda, very highly rated. Again, he scored against Progress. So they've got a lot of kind of attacking flair, creative fluidity. Very young team. I think they'll come at Rangers. They obviously beat Heracles, like you said, 4-0 at the weekend. But they scored 3 goals in 6 minutes after the restart. So they came out 0-0 at half time and then just went for them, wiped the floor with them, grew in confidence. At the back, they've got a Swedish international defender. I don't know if he's been capped yet, actually. I didn't check that, but he was called up in the last squad, Sebastian Holland. And the guy alongside him is a guy called Jordan Peters, a 33-year-old Dutchman who's been at the club since 2012. So he's like a captain, a leader. Rangers have had a minor boost with the fact one of their strikers, an ex-Bayern 2 striker called Kwasi Wright, is out, and a talented Dutch right back called Leroy Owusu also won't be available. So that's kind of a little boost for Rangers. Both our captain, Peters, and manager Costa have been incredibly complimentary towards Rangers. They think we can praising Rangers and Steven Gerrard in the build up to it. Rangers have been installed as the early bookies' favourite, but both of them have been clear that Rangers should underestimate this interesting young side at their peril in what promises to be a captivating contest. I think as a side note as well, it's worth, if anybody fancies doing it, is to Google the Willem II supporters that went to Luxembourg in the last round. They're certainly a bit of a feisty bunch, so they might you might see a couple of kind of photos or stories in the day concerning them. They're really excited about the fact that their team's in Europe. Maybe a bit of a shame that there's not going to be any fans in this because they look like a good set of supporters. I don't think anyone's taking this for granted. I don't think, least of all Rangers, I think it's all the fans or us. I think that it's going to be a good match. We're obviously the favourites, but we're playing a decent team here, albeit a young team, but a team that's full of energy. And as I said, we've beaten 3 of Holland's top teams last season, so don't think we should underestimate them. But an exciting contest ahead, I'm sure.
Definitely looks like it's going to be a real good game for Rangers this week. I mean, just by you mentioning Jordan Peters there, I just want to read you one of the quotes that's been attributed to him just in the build-up to the game. I'm saying that this is real European football. Playing against a club like Rangers with so much history. What could be better than playing Rangers in our full stadium? The fans would love a game like that. And I really like to have played the away game in Glasgow too. I really like the fact that someone like Steven Gerrard is having to analyse us. I wonder what he thinks of me. Who would have thought that a few years ago that when he was one of the best players in the world at Liverpool, he would have to study a club like ours? So it does go to show you there is, as much as kind of there's been a few grumbles about Gerrard in the last few days and whatnot, his name's still something that I don't want to say attracts that kind of attention to it, but for an opposition player, it must be something that does go through their heads and just thinking that we're coming up against this guy who was such a good player in his day. That maybe
there's an aura to him, especially on that European stage. They've got a hell of a lot of respect for us, and I think that it needs to be reciprocated. I think because of what happened on Sunday, a lot of fans maybe kind of begin maybe to dig themselves out of a wee hole with it because it was so frustrating. Maybe in the long term, when Celtic go to Easter Road and maybe they'll drop points against them this weekend, I don't know. Maybe we might view it as a good point. I don't know. At the minute, it still feels as if it was kind of too thrown away. But it's difficult to compare Scottish games to the games in Europe because the games are so much more open. Rangers get much more space to kind of impose the games that they want to play. And I don't know. We're obviously favourites, so we've got to back ourselves going into it. They're giving us a lot of respect. Just give it back to them. I think if we go there and do our professional, they lack experience at this level. We have it. If we go there and do our job, impose it on them, get under their skin by controlling the match, I think that we'll win it. But I don't think it's something to be taken for granted.
Is the Hibs result at the weekend almost something a red herring going into this game? In that, I mean, we've seen it over the last 2 seasons with Gerrard teams in Europe that it's night and day at times. It's a different style of play. The players, I don't want to say the players look more up for it, but the players do seem to have a kind of slightly different mentality going into these games. And I just think that I know much has been made of the fact that Rangers were far from at their best at the weekend. But for me, I don't think there's much that carries from Sunday into Thursday's game. I think you're going to see players who I think they know what's at stake with the Europa League game. It's a much more immediate thing for them. You know, you can, as daft as it might sound, you can afford to drop 2 points to Hibs in September and know that you're going to have that opportunity to kind of make that ground back up. You've still got 4 Old Firm games and whatever else to come. Whereas with this, it's almost pure cup football, and it's 90 minutes to a finish. And if you lose, that's it. It's over. There's no more Europe this season.
That kind of terrifies me a wee bit, to be honest. I mean, obviously because of the significance of the season, you get a few Rangers fans saying maybe the distraction in Europe would be better served else. We might be better served focusing on the league, but no Europe means less money, means we probably couldn't get the price that we want from Morelos. I think, I mean, I don't know that definitively, but the one-off game thing is we're away them. They're going to be full of energy. We need to be on it. We need to totally be on it. And I agree with that about the difference between Scotland and in Europe with this Gerrard team. But it's a new experience for us as well because, well, obviously we went to Lincoln Red Imps, but I think you can kind of, if we hadn't came away hammering Rangers, were on kind of hiding to nothing there because if we hadn't have hammered them, people would have been complaining. I just don't think that we were ever going to get knocked out there. But this is going to be a much more intense game. It's going to be much more toe-to-toe. So it is a new experience for us as well. But you have to back us. Like, see when you look at the European record of the last 2 years. I mean, I remember FC Midtjylland. Yep. They're in the Champions League playoffs this year. They won the Danish league. Now, last season we played them. Maybe a similar kind of situation to us going into Willem II. Obviously, they're younger and they're not as much pedigree, but there was the same kind of conversation about this is going to be a tough game, this is going to be really hard, and it was at the same stage of the competition. And we were fantastic in both legs, and particularly away from home. So I think we can look to that as a kind of positive going into the match. But I don't think it's going to be easy. I hope Rangers find the level, the big players perform. I think that if we do that, we'll win it. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a tough match.
One thing I want to talk you through, I don't know if you've read it or not, but Jordan put up a predicted 11 up on the site yesterday. So I'm just going to talk you through that and get your thoughts on it. We'll also link to it below and we'll put a graphic up shortly so you can have a look at it too. But there's only one change in the start 11 from the weekend, which is John McLaughlin coming out of the side and Alan McGregor taking his place. So it's the same back four of Tavernier, Goldson, Phil Helander, Barisic, Davis, Glenn Kamara and Scott Arfield in the middle, and then Hadji, Alfredo Morelos and Ryan Kent making up the front three. I mean, does that kind of sound as though it's probably going to be
I think that's probably spot on. I think because McGregor's obviously not had the opportunities, he's getting the European runs at present, whilst McLaughlin's playing the Premiership. I think that's fair because of the way that he's performed in Europe the last couple of seasons. I think Gerrard, said after the Hibs game, praised the midfield three. I know that may be contentious with some Rangers fans, but he praised them and he said he was going to need them over the next couple of weeks. And it's evident by the injuries that are building up that we don't have much other choice. Jamie Barjonas was the only other midfielder that was fit and available using the bench against Hibs, never got off it. So I think, and I don't think you can drop Hadji Kent on Morelos on current form. So I think that's fair. I think that will be the team. I mean, maybe no one maybe the change of centre back, Edmondson or Balogun, but I don't know.
Just when you mentioned Balogun there, that was something I wanted to mention. We've seen the updated squad list was released. It can still be changed up until midnight tomorrow. But as things sit, Balogun's not in the squad. But Ryan Jack and Kamar Roof both are. Do you think that there could be maybe a slight curveball there by Gerrard? Could he maybe throw somebody like Roof into the game? Maybe. I
tell you what, if Roof's fit and available, I'd be buzzing. Do you know what I mean? Even if he's fit enough to make the bench, because I had serious concerns when he went off, and then Gerrard was talking about a scan, and I was like, he's had calf injuries and the leg and Leeds, so I was like, oh no, this could be rubbish. You know, this could be major because he's obviously our big signing of the summer. I don't think any player that we bring in is going to be of the calibre and ability of Kamar Roof. I think he's our main signing this summer. And well, maybe, I don't know, we'll see, but I don't know. He's a good player, so it would have been a big blow if he's back in the squad. Full stop. I think that's a major boost for Rangers. I think that would be huge. Ryan Jack, again, you want to see him back fit. You know what I mean? I think his industry and his use of the ball, just in the middle of the park, I think we missed maybe a little bit up in Hibs, up against Hibs, but it'd be good to see him back as well. But Roof would be a huge boost, yeah.
Definitely.
That's a good weekend, a signifier maybe of good news.
I think especially with Balogun not having a place, because it's a 21-man squad again, there's the 4 spaces left open for academy players and homegrown players. But I think Balogun's absence would suggest that Roof probably going to be a bit closer to playing than maybe we expected after Sunday. And I thought that, given, as you mentioned, Gerrard said about him needing to go for a scan and what have you. If he's still in the squad at this point, and also it can still change, but if he's in the squad at this point, there must be something that's given Rangers just that little bit of positivity that he's more use in the squad than Balogun, who was on the bench at Easter Road. So whether there's been like another little injury niggle there or something, I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow when Gerrard speaks to the press. But yeah, I think that Roof being in there, there's a potential for something just a little bit different for Rangers, and it's quite an exciting one.
Sorry?
It's quite an exciting prospect just to have.
No, absolutely. I'd say so. He's let's say he was actually really good against Lincoln Red Hibs as well for it all. He's probably on track to be the best player on the pitch. I think it'd be a big blow if we lost him full stop. I think we need something different in Scotland. You know what I mean? In this game, I don't think he's got much experience at European level. Obviously, we've backed Gerrard's team at European level, but I think in Scotland in particular, we need something different this season. We need something that can change, somebody that can change matches, etc. And I think we're banking on it being him. So hopefully that is good news, James. I would be very happy if he was back in the squad. Not just because he'd be available against Willem II, but because it would insinuate he's available in Scotland.
Definitely. And just to wrap up, I'm going to put you in the spot. Score prediction.
Oh, man, that's really tough. That is really, really tough. I mean, I think both teams will score in this match. Hopefully. Oh, I don't know. I'm quite positive. I'll say 2-1 Rangers. 2-1 Rangers. There you go. I'll say that for you.
I think 2-1 is probably sounding a bit right. I can't see Rangers keeping a clean sheet. I just think having lost a clean sheet record against Hibs, it's not exposed frailties, but they'll have lost just that wee bit of confidence that comes with having such a good record behind them. So I wouldn't be too shocked if they do concede over 90 minutes. But as long as they score twice, I'm happy with it. I can live with it if we score twice.
What do you think? Do you think we'll have split or Galatasaray? I think that's an easy one if we manage to get through. Would you rather have a team that's obviously not got the same finances and quality, or do you want the glamour tie?
Oh, I'd want Galatasaray every day of the week. I think a lot of people have still got the thing with Gala that they're the same team they were in the kind of early mid-2000s. I think if you look now, I might be speaking out of turn here, but they're not even the biggest team in Turkey anymore. You know, they're not that be-all and end-all that they used to be. So, and I think with it being at Ibrox, both sides are there for the taking if you get through. I think you can bring anybody back to Ibrox with, a handful of exceptions from the elite clubs. But any of these other kind of a Galatasaray, a hashed up split, yeah, bring them to Ibrox.